Hello, everybody, and welcome to CastleCast Teams. This week I have a very special team here with Kaiju, and probably about every single member I could find of theirs except their coach, who refuses to comment at this moment, but he's a great guy. So, starting off, I have Nex,
Hello,
obviously a
I
great
am
supporter.
and a tester.
Yes, and part of our wonderful testing crew, Nappa Enthusiast,
Hello, hello.
good old Ryan M64.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And the much recently removed but still active coach and supporter ColeTrain.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
So yeah, this is gonna be a busy one. Got lots of people in here. Gonna be lots of talking going on. You guys ready to get going? Talking about the team of monkeys.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Alrighty then. With that, let us get moving on. So, being the most recent high position, ColeTrain, would you like to kind of go over what Kaiju represents and what the team is?
So basically, Kaiju is basically like the old school Saiyans, the Saiyans that can transform into a great ape, like the Saiyans with the tails. So, like if you guys have, most of you all probably have seen Dragon Ball Z. You guys know that the Saiyans were before Frieza blew it up, where like they had their own planet and all that stuff like that. And that is what this team is all about, the old school Saiyans. So we got Vegeta with Scouter Vegeta, like Vegeta before, like you know, like at the beginning of DBZ up until like around Namek Saga and all that stuff like that. We got Nappa, Bardock, King Vegeta, and Raditz. So those guys, you know, they can turn into giant apes and all that stuff like that. So Kaiju to me is like I love this team because of they can turn into apes and stuff like that. And I love like building characters like that because it makes it really fun because like let's say you want to make a super build but you have to think about, oh, how do they perform in their ape build? Do they do more melee and all that stuff like that? Will they even launch supers? Are their supers even good in their ape form? And some of them, they can't even turn ape on their own. They have to use the moon. So you have to think about that. Will we have a night map? On some occasions. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So that is something you got to think of. That's what Kaiju means to me, and that's why I love them. And it's been an honor to be on this team for the last 2 years. I was here last season, obviously, and then the year before that, when they were still named the Sands, I was a supporter as well. So going on to year three this season. So it's been amazing, and I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Yeah, I will say there's slight caveat to that, or asterisks, is technically they are the reason they're now kaijus. They can do all characters that turn giant, which are almost entirely Saiyans, but there is a few
Yeah.
exceptions that do fit in there, but for the most part they are Saiyan characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next you want to kind of say maybe your piece on what kaiju is?
Uh, Big Monkey is for the most part of what Kaiju is. Mainly we're Saiyans 2.0 at this point because of our roster, but we we do pretty damn well with our team. Um, I I slowly grew into the team while watching the 2020 season, and I just figured, um, I'm gonna pick a team that I want, and I enjoyed seeing how when these guys go ape, they gain the power body ability where they can just take additional hits without flinching, so they can cause extra damage when need be. That's why I joined the team.
Yeah, certainly has been a team that's gained lots of attention, especially recently with their changes. Yeah, Nappa Enthusiast, what's your comment on the kaiju formula?
It's pretty interesting and different from the League of old as apes weren't allowed for a very long time, as I remember. And of course, Nappa's on the team, so I mean, I gotta be here. I was when I started watching around, was it like season 4? Around the time I was a big fan of Muscle and the Saiyan, so Nappa just kind of fits in both. So I just kind of go where Nappa goes, basically. It's a damn nice team. I don't have anything bad to say about these guys.
Yeah, certainly being a fan of a singular character has led many people to join many teams. And I don't think Nappa's going to be changing from this team anytime soon. He's got that vice captain armband always on, so he is always ready to
Mm.
rumble. Yeah, and Ryan, how about you give us your kind of consensus on the team here?
Yeah, you like big, you like strong, you like big and strong. Well, then Kaiju is the team for you. We also have a little bit of gambling. Is Scouter going to do more than 20K this week? Stay tuned.
There we go.
I,
Ryan should be writing your guys' taglines. He should be have like a hashtag on the bottom of your banner written here for you guys.
in all
That was
serious,
perfect, Ryan.
in all seriousness, I
Perfect.
really like the idea that we have these characters who just get so much stronger when they transform, because normally in the Dragon Ball games a transformation is just kind of like a model change and maybe like their moveset changes a bit, but like
Mhm.
there's actually like property changes when they go ape. They have like the brick wall effect. The rush b2s will bounce off of them, so it's interesting. It's how many apes are we going to get this week is the big question every week. And if we're on our home map, we usually like to have it out night, so that way all of them can go ape. And yeah, it's just really interesting. And like Cole said, it's really interesting to see like how they perform while they're ape. Will they do better or worse? For the most part, they've done better. I can't recall a time where I'd been disappointed to see one of them go ape.
Me neither.
And yeah, it's just a pretty cool team.
Yeah, certainly. You could almost say polarizing with how often they kind of turn people towards their side. Some people maybe get mad at the ape side because of some of their, the brick wall effects and all that, but just in general, just a team that always seems to bring more fans than anything. Even teams that are against them in the division still have respect and lots of love for them just due to how much kind of joy their supporters bring to them and how fun they always make things feel. They're never I mean, at least you guys don't publicly make your salt known. It could be a secret mine shaft that goes for miles in the team chat, but that is for certain people to see, and that is not me.
There was that one time against Hybrid, but we don't talk about that anymore.
Yeah, we
Join our
don't.
team to find out.
If you
That one
want to
has
see
a
that, just join us.
that one has a foreclosure shine on it. Don't go into that one anymore. Well, shall we get a little bit into your guys' history of the team, kind of your past and current performance records?
Hmm.
Sure.
So, just a brief playoff history here. I was given literally every detail of your guys' history, including who made their first punch, when they did their first ultimate. So, a little too much details. Very awesome, though. I'm glad you guys are that hype. But going through, as they said, they were previously the Saiyans. So, very first season, they actually got to playoffs, but ended up losing to Earth Defenders. Second, got all the way to the finals, but lost to Boos, who are now the Boojins. Season 3, they were unfortunately unable to qualify out of the group stage. Season 4, they got all the way to the semifinals, but lost to Super Saiyans. You'll never hear about them again. Season 5, failed to qualify, unfortunately. Season 6, lost in the first round of playoffs against the Boojins, who lost in the next round, so don't worry about that. They got their revenge. Season 7, they failed to qualify. Season 8, they qualified, got all the way to the quarterfinals, but lost to Blades. Don't have to worry about them
Remember
anymore.
that season?
Season 9, they were unfortunately unable to qualify. In Season 10, they got all the way to the semifinals and lost to Muscle, which they do have to worry about still. And for Season 2020, they got all the way playoffs, but unfortunately lost to Cell. I will not give the credit to Androids. That was mostly Cell.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, Cell
Yeah.
just destroyed us.
Triple perfect barrier is not fair, and not when he does it every time. So,
It was, yeah, it was a great performance by Cell. Whoever gave him that build, shout outs to them because that was wow.
Probably one of the scariest characters in the league. Perfect Cell.
Yes, I
It's
agree.
completely our kryptonite. That's why we're facing him so many times in testing. We're not masochists.
yeah, it was set up this year. I was hyped for the 2020 season. I was hoping it'd be like season 2 where we could face each other in the finals again because you guys had a lot of momentum going to playoffs. Obviously, I'm a Bujin supporter. We had momentum going in. Seemed like we could make a repeat at least of getting to the finals, but unfortunately both sides fell short. But outside of that season, there was still lots of great seasons. You guys performed very well, but playoffs, as everyone knows, are an extremely different beast. So. Is there
Mhm.
any
Yeah.
comments you guys had on your history here? What you're proud of, maybe next, maybe a thing, maybe a season you loved or a season you hated?
I love our most recent season because, well, I'm probably one of the more recent supporters because I showed up the day before week 10, but shortly after week 10, we seemed to just go on a high speed momentum over and over to the next few weeks. We kept winning and winning and winning. Sure, we lost on week 14 against GT, but we didn't really fall apart after that. We just kept going and going, and we were able to go from 3-5 to 8-7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
say probably it was last season and season 10 was my two favorite seasons of the three because, well, season 10 is special to me because that was my first ever season of being a like supporter because the previous seasons I've been watching since season 3, but I never had the time or never had the equipment to like be a supporter. I was always just, oh, I'm gonna just catch it on YouTube, catch the streams when I could and stuff like that. So whenever season 10 came around and everything moved to Discord and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I have Discord, so I'm going to finally start to get involved. And I picked the Saiyans because, again, like I said earlier, with the apes and stuff like that, I enjoyed that. So yeah, so season 10 for me was probably one of my favorites of the team history. And I remember like learning how the league works and learning the different types of builds. That was always fun to me, and like I always caught an interest in that. So that was a really really fun season. And obviously last season it was great, and it was a great honor being the first coach of Kaiju and like Kaiju, the new team and stuff like that. That was very fun. And I remember like I thought that, oh, we like whenever we was like out of the playoffs or probably couldn't make it, I remember like, oh, we can do this. And like whenever we got that win streak on, I was like, yeah, guys, we're going to make the playoffs, whatever it takes and stuff like that. And everybody was on board. It was a very very fun time as we were trying to climb our way into the playoffs, and something that I will never forget. So those are my two favorite seasons.
Yeah, it
oh,
sounds like it certainly was a great time to join in and sounds from ColeTrain next. Nappa, how about, I know you talked earlier on character wide, but I guess is there any other thoughts you have on maybe some pride of your longevity as a team career here?
Um, the number one thing that stays in my mind is all the credit to the Kaiju team of season 10 is King Vegeta in the last playoffs in season 10. That was so good. He kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time and just did some crazy comebacks. Whoever's listening should go and watch that series. Saiyans versus Muscle in the playoffs. Really
Hmm.
inspirational stuff, just seeing what King Vegeta
Yes.
pulled there.
Yeah, there's
Other than
certainly.
that, Nappa's been bouncing from team to team, and I'm not gonna get into every team he's been on, but he's still my boy.
Well, he seems to have found a forever home here, at least right now, with how just solid of a character he has been and is really showing to continue to be. So, might have some time to really develop some bonds with some teammates. It seems like, so that should be a great kind of fortune to be able to move from. I can understand having a character bounce around so much can be and again, I think many people have joined teams based on liking of personal characters. So Kaiju's being a very solid squad now. If you like a singular character here, you'll get to enjoy them a good bit. So, and finally, Ryan, you want to give me some highlights of your career here, or of the career of the team?
Yeah, I started watching the league back in season 5, but I never really got too involved until actually this season. And so it's been a lot of fun getting the builds together, and it was amazing when we made the absolute comeback the later half of the season and got into playoffs. Even though we got out round 1, it was still a lot of fun just getting in there in the first place. I remember week 15, that was a really tense week for pretty much all of North Kai, because it was all determined by 2 matches in week 15, would be who got the bye week and who got to the playoffs and who didn't. So it was crazy. Um, but it's been 9 years since the Saiyans, or Kaiju now, have made it to Tenkaichi Bowl. So we're gonna try and get there. It'll be the first time in a while, but we're gonna get there one of these seasons.
Yeah, looking. I mean, every team's going through some tribulation right now in this off season of trying to get their problem children and characters they didn't think would be problem children back online. But yeah, we're gonna go into that. You guys ready to step in? Do you have any final comments on your kind of history before we move on to the night map fortunes of your
One
squad?
thing I want to say is one of these years we're gonna make the bowl again and we're gonna win it. That I it might be next season or it might be the season after, but I think as long as I'm before I stop this team, we're going to win the bowl. That's my prediction.
It's gonna happen.
King Vegeta will be at the top, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
No.
Nappa will be the throne he sits upon. I see it now. Alrighty then. Well, let me get to explaining kind of the night map dilemma you guys have hinted at before. It's mostly a dilemma in the sense that there are more characters requiring it than characters not, especially on the current active roster. But as said, King Vegeta and Scouter Vegeta and a couple of their Master List characters like Lord Slug and Pilaf can transform to Kaiju mode on their own, but unfortunately for many of their guys, including several or most of their active roster, Raditz, Nappa, and Bardock require a night map to go Monkey. So, while they do indeed have the power to transform into a truly ferocious being, it's unfortunately limited by map choice and due to opponents knowing that beforehand that there's just a high likelihood and basically always going to be, you know, 2 to 3 characters on the team that can do that, they are always going to try to not be in a night map. So while that is a curse, the good news is Earth maps, when you blow them up, guess what they gain?
A moon.
A
A
moon!
moon,
They gain a
which is
moon.
huge.
So while it's probably one of the most polarizing maps in design, with it being basically empty with a pillar in the center, there is a moon, so it actually becomes a lot less bad for Team Kaiju here. Do you guys even have an ult though that can blow up the planet?
We have
Scout.
exactly one, and that's Scouter
Scout-
Vegeta.
Scouter
ape.
Vegeta's ape form has an ultimate that will blow up the Earth, and that's it.
I said everybody else ultimate does not blow up the earth.
Well, that is a very specific one, but at least Scouter doesn't require the moon to go ape. Think if it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, Nappa
Yeah.
can blow up it, but he has to go ape first. So, a dilemma on a dilemma. Yeah, there's not
Exactly.
much really to say here. It was kind of already talked about, but wanted to make sure people interested in did know this is a strategy they have to build around. And while at home they can pick the map, there are other maps such as um, rocky plains and all that that they can choose kind of noon, evening, or night. And more often than not, when they see they're against Kaiju, they will not pick night. Couldn't tell you why, but I guess maybe the screen reveals that. Well, is there any
Mhm.
comments you guys had on this, or should we get moving into your kind of main crew?
Main crew, please.
Main
Sure.
crew, you pretty much discussed everything that I was going to say about it, so we can move on.
I think there's one thing, and it's that sometimes we have opposing teams who are grace us with ultimates that destroy the planet, so our boys
Yeah.
can go monkey.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
Super
Supernova
17.
from Super
Yeah.
Super 17.
I am
Supernova.
99% sure that's why they didn't put Super 17 on Savior in our playoff match.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will say there is also, and this is something the team can do, is if they want to spend the Zenny to change the map, they can. So it's a, do they want to kind of part of that gambling? You know, will Scouter do anything? If not, hey, maybe we gamble to make some ape Nappa since he likes to go ape. So you never know. Well, let's
Yeah,
get
but
moving on. Or sorry, did you have another point?
Opponents also, instead of spending Zenny to change the map, they like to spend Zenny to buy Draconic Aura for their characters.
Yeah, one of the few ways to break the brick wall effect, but sometimes that doesn't come to pass because it still requires them to transform. So, yeah, maybe
And it
this
also
team could be
requires the character
described
to
as heavy
actually
gambling.
do stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it requires them to not die to the ape. Well, moving on to the first character, the main man, Bardock. So, as many know, he's got mostly pros with few cons. He's a great all-around character. We've seen him excel at pretty much every form from tank to spam to melee, but you might as well give him damage because he loves to use it. He has some great blast ones that really allow him to buff himself up. Obviously, Saiyan Soul being an incredible one. Um, been a proven character since Saiyan, since pretty much any team. No team will ever drop this man. He is always on his way for revenge. And of course, he's a brilliant scientist, being able to create an artificial moon, allowing for its transformation into the kaiju form. Cons, though, he's so brilliant that he forgot how to do it. So unfortunately, he cannot use his own artificial moon technique, even though he invented it. He wrote it on a napkin, someone stole it, and he forgot. So, creator, but unfortunately not memorizer. And as an issue as they have found is for some reason he likes to pull the Goku move of waiting till his last bar to try to save everything. So while he can do a ton of work then, especially with some scaling Pataras to give him great boosts, it means he can be a little bit, get wiped out because that's a lot of time waiting around till he can get in. So next, why don't you describe the main man in your own words here?
He is. I have nothing really to say other than like he's the basically he would be the king for for the team instead of being King Vegeta. He's more the king. I don't know if it was an AI thing or a Patara thing, but seeing him just screw around until he's close to death gives us heart attacks because we know how great he is, and then seeing him fall apart, and sometimes it gets to a point where his health is so low that he couldn't do anything to begin with, and we basically are in a panic mode since we lose our ace. But there are times where he actually does uh, step on the gas when he has his last bar out. For instance, when we face droids after getting knocked to near death by 16, he tags, and when he reappears on his final bar, he shreds Android 17. So, not to mention he's the only kaiju member with probably the lowest amounts, with 2 for Saiyan Soul and Wild Sense, so that's always good. And yeah, he's a brilliant scientist. Nappa, what do you think?
There's nothing to not love about Bardock, honestly. He's cute as an ape as well. When he decides to go ape, his grab does a lot of damage. He has super explosive wave, which ask anybody, nobody would complain about having super explosive wave on their team.
One of the best moves in the game.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, he's the only Saiyan who has a Saiyan Soul B1 for only 2 stocks. Everyone else in the game universally has it for 3. So he's just that brilliant, I suppose. And I, I guess wherever the napkin went, then with the ape, the transfer, artificial move for transforming is a great mystery to us all. Yeah. How about you, Ryan? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, Bardock's called the main man for a reason. He's really clutched out some of the games for us when we really needed him to. But on the opposite side, he's also thrown some of the games that we did not need him to.
Yep.
He likes to float around until he's on his last bar, and then it's just a toss up. Either he could do a lot of damage, or he could just eat an ultimate and lose that entire health bar in one hit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Cole?
Well, I would say Bardock is Bardock. Like he's just a great all around character. Probably one of my favorite builds that he has is his super build. I remember when he used to have it back in a few seasons ago. It was very very devastating. Like his ultimate used to do so much damage, like 20k and stuff like that. He was awesome, and the best way to build this guy is to you know get, let him. He already has great supers already, great B1s as well. All you gotta do is just give him a little bit of melee and stuff like that, or you might change up and give him a spam build. He can be killer. Just increase that little thing that he has that's wrong with him, which is not even that much, to be honest, because he's just great all around, and he'll be perfect. You know, my only thing is I wish that he just doesn't derp until the last bar because it could kill us. Like it has killed us some matches that he does stuff at the last minute when we needed him to do that 5 minutes before. You know, but that's probably my only gripe. Hopefully next season he don't derp that much. But just keep doing your thing, Bardock. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, certainly. This is, I mean, the main man was kind of the easiest way to describe him. There's not really any other words that could describe him as well. I think Nick said it best. He's kind of the true king of the team when it comes down to their output. And just talking about the variety, last season he was almost entirely an attack plus 2 build. This season they're currently doing him almost entirely in a super plus 2 build, and he's still just kicking all the butt. I mean, you want to talk about
Yeah,
a
yeah.
man that doesn't care about what he
No, that was
has.
But
right.
we still have his melee build.
Yeah, we still have his melee build in just in case, you know.
He
We
can
gotta
really
have those
do
backup
anything.
plans. Yeah, pretty much. He can just do. He can perform on any build that you give him. That's what makes him the main man. Like there's no build that this guy can't perform on.
We technically have him for 2 out of 4 sets of builds. If we find the right build for the right AI for his super build, we can possibly try something for defensive or key just for laughs. Honestly, it'll be great.
I know. You know, that's the only thing that Super Build is missing is just the AI. You know, but I think we're gonna work on that. And once we find the good AI, Bardock's gonna be set, yo.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much else to say. Is there anything else you guys want to go over on him, or you ready to move on to numero dos of the team?
Let's move
Yeah.
on.
The right hand
king.
man.
Alrighty then, moving on to the named king, King Vegeta. Also a just a very strong character for the team, has really put in a lot of work over the seasons. Also has some great pros in being that he is a very tag-heavy character, and that has almost in its entirety saved the team by being able to allow people to regen health. As a defensive character, he's just been very strong at outlasting opponents and wailing them down, kind of the same as Salza was in a previous episode. Obviously, a great B2 kit with what it does, a volley, a beam, and his ult, while never really used, is a fantastic rush that has a great animation of just stomping someone into the ground and blowing them up. And he has the ability to go ape on any map. He might have been the one to take it from Bardock, we don't know, but at the very least, it makes sense for him to have learned from his scientist. Some big cons though is he's kind of been very limited in the build designs they found for him. His melee is slow because he really likes to take his time to beat you up, and unfortunately, while he has a great barrage, he likes to just stand there and gloat for a good 10 seconds after firing it, which leads him to be counterattacked quite often. So, very good character, but certainly one that has his cons end up dragging him down, stopping him from hitting that ceiling that he could have. So, next, what do you like about your king here?
Personally, I'm probably on the very small minority that King Vegeta is not really one of my favorites on the team. Mainly because from watching how he performs, and I'm not talking about with his kid because his kid is amazing as a tank. I'm talking about like his melee is so slow. I think it's the slowest for anyone of his size, and he's not like a big bulky character like Nappa or Dodoria or 16, and he's certainly not a shrimp like the Rugrats, but uh, for someone of his size to see that melee so slow, maybe Nappa is right in saying that they're just playing with the feeble old man argument for the reason why he's that sad. And the stupid barrage animation, I just get more and more frustrated with it as whenever I'm testing and he's on this and on the lineup because I forget which one, but during one of our AI tests with King and Bardock versus 17 and Cell, he launches his B2 barrage. Uh, due to that, uh, due to the distance, 17 was just able to lazily fly to his left to avoid the entire barrage, stayed still for about 3 to 4 seconds, and decides to ult King Vegeta, who was still in his ending animation pose, and then he gets blasted for about 16,000 points of damage. So it's kind of annoying. I do like how when he turns ape, he literally flips the switch from being like mediocre to amazing because of his having super explosive wave and uh, his super Gallic gun, which is pretty amazing at times. So he's not really my favorite, but I, he does have his things. What do you say, Nappa?
Mm, yeah, I could talk all night about this barrage animation as well, because it's just as frustrating to the next as anyone else. But one thing, other than loving the most amazing tank defensive character, is his grab animation, where he stomps it, and it's my absolute favorite from the whole game. Like, it's just somehow so brutal and satisfying to watch over and over. And then he has his ape grab animation, which is also ends in a big stomp. So I just love looking at it, just plain and simple. King is just basically our team's backbone with his amazing tags, and works really well with Nappa, who's also on the team. But yeah, how about you, Ryan?
Yeah, if Bardock is the sword of the team, King Vegeta is most certainly the shield. He is our damage sponge, but he doesn't really do much else. But his ape, one of the best apes in the game, it has super explosive wave as a B2, which is incredible. And unlike Bardock, he can do it wherever because he has his artificial moon. So it just adds that versatility to it. It's really just, can we get King Vegeta to transform? So yeah, he's a fun character, except when he's not. So yeah. Cole, you have any thoughts?
I think he's AFK.
I think he's been ganked, so all good. Yeah, I think King Vegeta's polarizing in that aspect, as we hear just here today, is while he is indeed considered a good character, it's not in the traditional sense of actually doing much. He's kind of the sponge character, so he does a lot for the team, very similar to how Salza was, where as was described by their coach, where he did a lot but didn't actually, damage-wise do a lot. So it was a weird mixture of how he did what he needed to do for the team. So, is there any other comments you guys have on your king here?
The slowest barrage animation ever. And I'm not a person who checks these kinds of details. I just assume it's so.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, should we
That's
get
it.
moving on to member number 3 then? Cole can come back in a moment, I assume. But moving on to a very special character for at least one person here. Good old Nappa. Big mass of the team. Lots of great pros for him as well. He, as said before, and as you may have noticed in an image before behind King Vegeta, loves tagging. He learned from his ruler and loves to follow in suit of getting out of there to gain his own health back. And them two combined have certainly allowed them to come back more than a few times. And he's got great B2s. He's got an extremely high cost but high damage tracking explosive one, and just massive AoE. He loves to spam his ultimate, the good old Kappa power, shoot big beam out of big mouth, having a great B1s with pump up and Saiyan Soul. Obviously we've talked about Saiyan Soul before. Not as good as Bardock's, but still the same stats, which allow him to be great. Pump up also boosting. And one of the few characters in this league that really does well with his natural defense, mixing it with his build, having a natural defense of +1, so it's about 10% less damage taken, though. Of course, with every character comes their cons, and his being, he doesn't have that many blast stocks. I believe it's 4 maxed out, so he can get a Saiyan Soul off, then he basically has to wait a long time to go for another one. Being how massive he is and how big his muscles are, they slow his melee down. Still good damage, but not exactly very fast. And something he's always had is he's good at throwing ki, but it doesn't go very fast, and it doesn't do very much, but it looks cool. So, Pros and cons, of course. So, moving on next. Tell us how you like the Mountain Man here.
I see him more of a shield dude than King Vegeta, but that's probably because of his size. Um, I'm also kind of debated. It's kind of debatable with his B2 kit because volcanic explosion is, granted, it's a wide size, but you see the enemy just fly so far away from where he launches it because it's a slow build up. But it also has its moments, such as sometimes the enemy is stupid enough to activate a blast one, and Nappa blasts him with a volcanic explosion. Sometimes when Nappa jumps back when the enemy tries to grab him, hits him with a volcanic explosion. So it's kind of situational. I wouldn't say it's really amazing. Same thing when he goes ape. He has a giant rock throw. That isn't really the best thing, but he does have, I believe, super explosive wave as well. So that's always amazing for a B2 kit. And yeah, he has the worst rush blast ever. Uh, I'm gonna pass it off to Nappa by asking, how strong is his blast damage supposed to be again?
I'm not gonna. Let's not talk about that when we can talk about the good parts of this glorious, glorious character.
Yeah, let's talk about the pros here. Come on, he's Nappa enthusiast, not Nappa pessimist.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you look at this crazy enforcer of the team, he might be slow. He might not like rush blast, or if he does, they don't do anything. But once you look at this beautiful character with his number one in the league tag tendencies, Blazing Storm, which is one of the like the connection rate on that thing is 100% if not 90. Uh, just anytime, anywhere that thing hits. You saw, I think we saw 10 Kappas hit last season. I counted every single one. And
Wow.
the defense one, along with a tanky build, just makes him absorb other high damage builds. Like, let's say Bojack's Grand Smasher didn't even break 10k against Nappa. Just no chance. And even though his melee is slow, with pump up or without pump up, it just does so much damage when he actually gets it going. There's nothing to not love about this character except the rush blast, but once you look past the small details like low rush blast or slow melee, it's the greatest thing in the league in my very professional opinion, of course. And yeah, uh, there's not much else to say that he's absolutely perfect in every other way, right, Brian?
Yeah, of course. Early on in the season, we ran latent energy on him to get even further with the tank build. Then later on, we swapped it out for indignation for better damage. But I mean, even without latent energy, he still has the defense +3 on top of the natural defense +1. He can take hits, he can dish them out, and he has a B2 that's average and a B2 that's probably one of the best in the game. Blazing Storm has an amazing connection rate. I'm pretty sure it's unblockable and it interrupts almost everything that the AI tries to go for. And then he has his ultimate, which is, even though it's just a generic beam, he still somehow finds a way to hit with it, even if it's thrown from across the map.
Except
So
for the
yeah,
playoffs.
except for when it counted, yeah. He always finds a way to pull it out for us. And yeah, he's a really good character. I remember back in last year off season, back when we still had Turles, and it was crazy. Just we wanted to get Nappa, but we didn't know who to drop. It was either going to be Turles or Raditz, and I think it was like just like a last minute decision where it was going to be Raditz, and then last minute we were like, no, we think we can do something with Raditz, but we'll talk about Raditz later. Yeah, but right now we'll talk about Nappa. It was good to pick Nappa up. We were definitely like scared at first because Nappa has not been used as much as Turles was in the main seasons past. But he's really turned up for us. I'm really happy what we got for him. And yeah.
Yeah, certainly a great character that's been maybe underutilized in seasons past with how much he's bounced around. Um, Granted, it always seems like the Nat defense positive characters just have slow melee, unfortunately, but it's due to the bulk that they have that they probably get that bonus defense. So, goods with the bads, take what you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible base
course.
stats is a great thing to have, and no one's going to complain about having bonus stats because he works out. So, Nappa Enthusiast obviously just hitting the weights in the background right now, getting his own natural defense up.
If only I could. It's somewhere down the line, right?
Well, are there any other kind of comments or things you want to bring out on your guy Nappa here, Kappa Nappa, as the chat would know him?
I could keep going, but I think we should move on.
Alrighty then, let's get going on to the next member, number 4, our boy Scouter Vegeta. Once feared as a menace of the league, currently just trying to remember how to keep his water floaties on, unfortunately. But who knows? New season, new Scouter. So going over some pros and cons. Looks like he has a good bit of pros though, so maybe that's something to work with. Great B2s, a great spammable rush. Obviously, Gallic Gun is always great as well, and fast melee. He can turn into Ape on his own, and that Ape has great just kind of stuff it does when it goes Ape. He loves to hit some pretty big B2s, and of course, that ult can blow up the planet, allowing his teammates to also do it. Being a Vegeta, Vegetas have great kind of rush blast damage, so he's actually banned from some things due to being a Vegeta. And of course, that leads to the next point of being a Vegeta, which is just those have been some of the stronger kind of versions of characters in the league. For whatever reason, obviously the people making the game thought Vegeta was a way better hero than Goku, so Vegeta got a lot of love. And being Scouter did not change that, though. His cons, of course, is his builds have been pretty lacking in diversity, or more like versatility to kind of help his positives, because his negatives, it seems like, tend to be a lot harder to build around. And while he has some very, very good tools, he doesn't like using them. He really doesn't. You can give him, maybe is a lot of points in wielding swords, but you give him a sword and he drops it and runs away. So certainly has great uses of abilities, but doesn't use them to the kind of the way he needs to. So next, you want to explain about how the Prince of All Saiyans functions for your squad?
He functions. That's a good word for it. He has the best B2, which is Gallicon. It's a non-chargeable, but it is the best B2 beam, I believe. Am I getting that right?
I think it's the best non-chargeable one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it quick fires like a Kamehameha and does like a charge Kamehameha worth of damage for being quick fired.
All right. So that's always good. That's why we focused him with a super build, but give him something like that, he'll try to focus more on melee. If we wanted to try something with melee, he won't want to try something with charging. So he's just fickle like that, but he's just pretty freaking amazing. Especially when he goes ape. He always seems to small trivia here, but for the people watching the video, when any of our guys go kaiju, they get all their ki back. So basically, as soon as Scouter regains all his ki when he goes monkey, he basically quick fires a B2, and it usually helps. For, but if there's nothing, if he misses, oh boy, we have a giant hitbox. Yeah, I'm starting to draw a blank. Nappa.
Tag! Baton pass!
Well,
Baton pass!
well, I have to know about Scouter since he's, Nappa's partner in crime and all, but yeah, Scouter is just really good on paper, but Lord forbid whatever we do, he just doesn't want to do it. There's something. Maybe it's his Saiyan pride, who knows, but we give him a super build, he does 98,000 damage, and we give it to him 2 weeks later, he does 6,000 damage, and we're just standing there like, we didn't do anything to you. What happened? And for all I know, nothing did, but if King Vegeta is the most consistent character on our team, then by and large, Scouter cannot hold up. Just he can just hold his own most of the time, but when he does, he just goes absolutely insane. But he's he's still a really vital part of the team because of his artificial moon to go ape anywhere, and that's it can give a lot of problems to melee character because of his power body. But other than that, we're trying our hardest to make the guy work, aren't we, Ryan?
Yeah, he's been showing up a little bit during testing, but at the same time he was showing up last year during testing too. So who knows what he's gonna do when the main season rolls around? He might do nothing. Who knows? But hopefully he does good. I mean, Vegeta's one of my favorite characters in all of Dragon Ball, so it really sucks to see him step on the field and maybe do 15k and then instantly die. And he did around 80k against Derp early on last season. We had, that filled us with a lot of hope, and then it was just all downhill from there. So yeah, I mean, we're trying different things with him this season, and hopefully he turns up. Hopefully we give everybody a good showing with Vegeta this season.
Yeah, I think he's a character that he has an immensely high ceiling, but unfortunately he likes to dig down to the floor. So certainly one you guys probably wish could stay closer to that ceiling. And the seasons where he has certainly shown that he is an extremely strong character. It's just keeping him there that'll be important. So obviously,
Scouter versus Earth Defenders.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time to test still, and there's plenty of builds to do. And since the rest of your team, he's not playing defense, so that's two characters he doesn't interact with. And Bardock does everything, so he doesn't interact with that. He kind of gets some more freedom to try to, build diversity. So we'll see. I think you guys are probably finding out a lot about him, and maybe some that you didn't want to find out about him with the testing. Is there any kind of final remarks before we move on to the final current member of the squad?
He is the
I
Prince of
think
all Saiyans.
it's worth noting that the rule changes in this offseason have been let Scouter Vegeta use Potara he wasn't able to use before. That boosts his Rush Blasts, which as a Vegeta they're just really good, just top class, and that's giving us a bit more hope to work with a more offensive oriented build in Scouter with some getting a little melee and little keys so he can throw those out.
Yeah, that was certainly a big change that's going to allow his Rush Blast damage to really come out to shine. Though, I think as anyone knows, trying to build for one specific area is almost, impossible in this league. So it's a wish of luck for you guys on that aspect. Well, shall we move on to the rad of all its?
Yep.
So the final member of the current roster is, of course, Goku's big brother, Raditz. He's quite rad, and he always grabs the tits. Kind of a scary character when you think about it, but fortunately, maybe his results don't always come through in that aspect. But he's got some good pros and cons. I had to cut out some cons, unfortunately, because they, for some reason, were really trying to make me hate him. Some good pros. He has some great blast ones in a full power mode, going all the way to max power, and Saiyan Soul. Obviously, just Saiyan Soul's always good. He's the only character that has a max power mode one in both base and ape for the team, so it gives him some good versatility there. And they've been able to put a lot of different stuff. He's been very versatile in building for them, so it's allowed them to be more flexible as a team. Cons, though, is fortunately that versatility is a jack of all trades, master of none aspect. So he can do a lot, but he can't seem to be great at anything. And with that, he means he's average in everything. So he kind of has that. There is no area really to build hard into to be the best. And finally, he learned from Nappa how to throw Rush Blast. So unfortunately, they are also just not so strong, but they look cool. So that's cool, I guess. So next, what do you have to say about your maybe the exact opposite of the main man in Raditz?
Well, whereas Nappa can go on about Nappa, I can go about with Raditz. Thank you, Masako X. Not I don't see the Jack of all trades as negative, so to say, because based on how things were going for the 2020 season, we had someone who was perfect for uh, attack +2, defense +2, Scouter was super +2. Nappa, we didn't have to worry about anything because it's Nappa. And so we were thinking maybe we can make Raditz the guy with attack +1 or key +1 or super +1, etc., to at least increase his arsenal, because so far we've been stuck with giving him a clash boost with his melee build so far. Not to mention during I guess the first half of 2020 season, he was more of the problem child, so to speak. He just had moments where he knows what he's doing and sometimes where he doesn't know what he's doing. So after looking at some old test videos, all we had to do was switch an AI and it just clicks for him right now. So I'm liking what we're seeing right now. Uh, I believe he's also, well, I would have to say it's also the Master List. He's the only one that actually has a max power mode in base form. I know that Baby Vegeta has one, but it's when he's at Super Baby 2, and you can't start at Super Baby 2. So that's really a good thing for Raditz. And I could go on, but Nappa, your turn.
Yeah, as as to Raditz, I think he's seen as a bit of a goof, as in Dragon Ball, and then in the league he was on Derp at some point, I believe, if my memory serves me correct. But yeah, he's a lovable goof in the team, and as he performed worst in the regular season, he was in fact the best of the Kaijus in the playoffs against the androids, which was really mind-blowing to everyone in the team that he outperformed Bardock, for example. But the jack of all trades as a con is that it's hard to figure out a build for him because he kind of could do everything, but we can't build him in a, say, haphazard manner, because if we just give him a little of everything, he doesn't do anything well enough to break that 40k damage. So we're just trying to make him a bit of a melee, just a pesky, clashy guy right now.
And it's working.
It's working for sure, as the playoffs showed, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the other teams see when Raditz starts breaking 50 for 50k per match and actually pulling his own weight next season. At least so we would see him. Yeah, he's a great guy. Any thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, Raditz was definitely like the underdog for Kaiju the last season. For the first half of the season, we were trying him between Goku AI and Trunks AI, and they just weren't working at all. And then halfway through the season, we switched him on to Cell, and then he kind of became all reliable at that point. You know, he would normally do around 40k, and he was always pulling his weight. He went up against some of the league's scariest fighters. He went up against Kid Buu against Bujins. I believe he went up against Mid Vegeta against Earth Defenders. And then he went up against 16 against the androids in the playoffs. And he also went against 19 when we did our playoff second round. And he's always been able to pull his weight. Either he'll take down the opponent or he'll tag and bring them down to their last bar. So, you know, he's always been able to do good. And he doesn't, I find that he tends to go ape the least in our team, but that's probably also just because he needs a night map like Nappa and Bardock. But either way, he doesn't really need the ape. He still does a good amount of damage. And I mean, with the attack +1 and the power of rage or dragon power that we would give him, depending on what we're feeling that week, he can do a lot of damage if you're not paying close enough attention. You know, if he really goes for it, he could do a good amount of damage. He likes to do good melee combos and follow him up with a B2. So yeah, he's just all reliable.
Yeah, I mean, his ult too being just a big beam, not a bad one to worry about. Rush ults can get you in trouble when you're spamming max power mode, so being able to just go, you know, get a big handful of power and just shoot it out. He's not quite as accurate as Nappa. Needs to get on that Kappa train of hitting them, and maybe even on just throwing them more often. But hey, at least it's a tool he has, and it's a decent one to have, to be honest. So overall, pretty, as I think everybody said, a very good character to have to kind of fill out the spot of the team. Well, is there anything else you guys would like to talk about the boy Raditz, or shall we get moving on to kind of the master list homies that are just kind of chilling there?
He's a sleeper. He's gonna do very well this season. I guarantee it.
Yeah. He's gonna go elite. Mark my words.
Yeah, I think he certainly showed in the playoffs that he can really go far if he's willing to push himself. So do not be surprised to see some big Raditz this next season. So moving on to the other members that they could have on the team, I did put in the teams they are currently on due to them all being locked up, so only FAs are truly available. But I don't know if they really need or are going to be looking too hard at an FA with their cast. But hey, that's kind of a team by team basis. But some members that they could trade or loan potentially: Baby Vegeta, who can go into obviously grade 8 form; Fasha, who with a moon can go grade 8; Kid Goku with a moon goes grade 8; Pilaf, as pictured here, can turn into a giant robot that sucks Major Dong, but I mean it is there. um, Normal Pilaf's fine, but big Pilaf's not so good. Lord Slug, as we've seen many times in Royal, loves to turn into a giant demon, and of course Turles, who they previously had, and also the final member that can turn himself ape on his own, who's currently at Cinema, got dropped for Raditz. So, pretty solid list of potentials there. We've already seen a few of these characters get moved around and a few not so much. If there are any of you guys, you don't have to go into crazy speculation or what you're actually planning on, but would it be in the cards, I guess, to look for one of these characters or a free agent, or are you pretty happy with your squad?
If any of these characters get dropped, we want Fasha.
Well, who wouldn't like Fasha at the end of the day? But
Yeah.
it would just make sense. Wink, wink, cinema.
They'll expect Bardock. And
Yeah.
we can give him.
I think for the foreseeable future, we are going to keep the roster the same. As far as FAs go, though, I think that just kind of depends on which big FAs get taken and which ones don't. We might grab a heavy hitter or we might grab a sleeper. As far as Fasha goes, we definitely want her, if not for her ultimate innate form, just for how cool it looks.
I think, yeah, she's like the top member that we would want out of everyone else.
Yeah.
We all have our own little list on who's our priority for the master list if any of them get dropped. But we just have to wait for a free agent, and I haven't really thought that far, mainly because we haven't been talking much about free agents overall on the Discord. Join our Discord. And we just been focusing on tests and seeing what we can do and improve for our team and just wreck house. What do you have to say, Nappa?
Yeah, I think Cole mentioned this already, but we're getting pretty hyped and very ready to just kick up a storm next season, since we did have the amazing run in the later half of the regular season. And even though we dropped the androids, then, well, Cell, I think the androids coach said that the Cell averages around 100k damage against us. So we're working to finding a counter to Cell, probably. Maybe,
That's why
if
we've
there
been
is such
testing
a
against
thing.
them. That's why King and Bardock have been facing them for so long.
Absolutely. And yeah, we've got our problem children getting ready to set out. Everyone's looking better. We're shuffling the builds with Bardock, and the future looks bright. Don't you think so, Ryan?
Yeah, it does. We're gonna wreck some teams next season. We're gonna cause a real havoc.
Yeah, I think as a team, you guys have shown you can really come out swinging, and I don't think that'll be changing anytime soon, especially this next season. Having the changes to Scouter, having the build diversity you guys have, you can really throw some stuff. You've already been moving Eternal Life around, which is obviously a very polarizing Patar for builds, but I mean, if it can find a home on a character that makes him really perform well, it always does well, and it seems like you've found some replacement builds if you did want to try that. So, as always, a very experimental time right now when we're making this. But overall, I think as a team, you guys are a very solid one with obviously people call out Raditz as the weak link, but I don't think he's the same weak link of just an easy character as much of a character who isn't so specialized in an area.
Make do with what you got.
Yeah.
Well, are there any final things you guys would like to talk about on your team here?
Join our team. We have
Yeah.
monkeys.
And also, every tag we were the #1 tagging team last season, and that's always hype. So for hype moments, the monkeys, tags, big ultimates.
It's
big
pretty sad
Nappas.
that I forgot. It's pretty sad that I forgot that we were the most tagging team. I already forgot.
Our tagging got quite ridiculous in some matches.
Yeah,
King Vegeta against the androids in the playoffs.
yeah, that really screwed us over.
So if you
Well, at
like
least they
monkeys, you like tag team, there you go. Great team. Return to Monk is probably typed every day by every member as a requirement to stay on the team, for all I know, with how
No,
much
it's
we
not.
hear it.
No, it's not. You only get that from DJ.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, did anybody want to have any send-offs or shout-outs, anything here?
Shout
I'm out
out
of
to
slides,
Steve who
so
couldn't be here.
I know
shout
you're-
out to Steve.
Yeah, shout out to our new coach.
Yeah, shout
And
out to our new
shout-
coach, Steve. If you like this video, click subscribe, and join our Discord. Here you can choose the team, hopefully Kaiju, and help us kick the crap out of everyone else. Thank you.
Yeah, there's the Discord. The website link will also be below with all the information. So if you wanted to kind of catch up on what was in this video or read more on teams and such, there's also a Twitter, which of course has events and stuff going on. Just tons of stuff, tons of stuff. If you enjoy this league, there's many ways to be involved. At the very least, just watching helps us out. We are always thankful if you are just willing to sit down and enjoy the content. So with that, that has been Capsule Cast. I guess we'll do a sound off. I'm DoorGuard.
I'm next.
I'm Nappa Enthusiast.
I'm Ryan.
And hope you guys have a great weekend. And join Kaiju.